welcome back to the next one, which is a biggie. It's the campaign phase. This is called Rome Total War. This is where the total war happens. This may well be a longer video because we have some battles in it. Might spin off to do the battles as a separate video and let you come back to it. But we'll figure that one out as we progress. So, Carthage going first. Actually, Carthage is quite pleased to be going first at the moment. This is where you move your armies. Your armies can move 3 on the map. And navies can move 4 sea regions. Now, sea regions are a lot bigger, so 4 sea regions gets you much further. So amphibious operations can be quite handy. You can do some very good things with them. So I get to move some armies. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to move Army 1 into there. And that is taking a neutral area. And the neutral area, a green one, means 2 green dice to actually conquer it and subdue the locals and take possession of effectively what is Syracuse. So we get a bit of that. So let me roll a couple of dice. I'll pick them up. 2 blanks, so they didn't suffer any damage. So Carthage is particularly happy about that. They've gained another territory. They've now got a conquest of Sicily. So we've got to put one on there. So they're holding Sicily. They don't fancy invading Rome because we've got a big Roman army sitting there at the moment. So that's all that army is going to do. At the moment, that army is generalless. So this army over here, army number 2, is going to send their general, who's a competent general, to go over there via the ship. So that ship's being used to transport a general over. So he goes 1 onto there, 2 to get off, 3 gets himself there. So they're going to put a general back with that army, so at least it's not super vulnerable. So number 2's moved over. We're now missing a general here, which is potentially interesting later. They have 2 more armies over here. They're going to try and grab some more territory. So they're going to move a navy to here for 1. They're going to board for 1. Counts 1 for the navy. So they've now done 1 for them, 2 for the navy. Get off. So 2 for those, and they're going to try and take this Balearic area, which is also 2 greens. This is a risky move. Oh, that's 2 wounds, as we call it, which kills an entire card. Now, that is a bit of misfortune for them, because Army 3, unfortunately, only has 2 main battle cards. So Army 3 was hoping to get, at worst, that, in which case they would have taken it, which would be a wound and a blank. But 2 wounds destroys a card, and unfortunately, the minute an army drops below 2 main battle cards, it evaporates. So the Balearics themselves have destroyed this small army trying to conquer them, and that comes off the map. Dear, that's a little bit of bad fortune, and those cards are lost, go in the reserve pile. Well, it was worth a go. The Navy's moved 1, it's going to move 2 to go back there and team up with that navy so that we now have a full-size 5-card navy sitting in a defensive position blocking the route to Sicily. Remaining armies, this one here will go and grab a bit more territory. It'll go there for 2 greens. Hope it doesn't wipe itself out like the other one. 2 S's would kill skirmishers. They don't actually have any skirmishers in that army, so they're okay. So they've done that one. So they're probably going to be comfortable keeping going a bit. Let's have a few of these handy. Let's see if they can conquer the rest of Spain. They're going to go for the next one. So this is all very quick, as you can see, but you take attrition as you go. That was very serious attrition. They lost the main battle card, so they have to sacrifice a main card to take the next one. And with their 3rd move, because they do have enough cards not to die, they're going to do it again. Lost another one. On the brink of disaster. They've only got 2 main battle cards left, but they've done a full 3 move and expanded. So we've now got 3 more gold there and another gold there at the moment for Carthage, which is 4 more. They'd love to get 5 more somehow. So now I'm looking for another one, if there's any way of getting it. Which the only way of doing it would be to go here, here and here. So we'll do it. 1, 2, 3. We'll try and get that one. Lost a skirmisher for Army 2. Which does have Numidian cavalry and Numidian javelinmen as skirmishers. So they'll lose a Numidian javelinman and conquer that area. And if I've done the maths right, they've actually made it to 25 from an economic point of view. So they're going to get 2 victory points in the next taxation phase.
Do you lose on one edge, do you lose a skirmish card?
You do.
You do.
So that's the Carthaginians, and they were pleased to go first because they particularly managed to get a general here which might allow them to defend Sicily. So we're now over to the Romans. So what should the Romans do in this situation? Well, Romans know a couple of things. One is that Carthage has the best navies over time. It tends to be the best developer of navies. So if you're going to take the Carthaginian navy on, you might want to do it early. It's a bit random, but we can do it early. And the attack into Sicily, anyway, can go across a strait here, which doesn't need a navy to cross. So they're going to do, first of all, 1 and merge them into 5, 2, and attack the Carthaginian navy and try and strand, play a 50-50 gamble, to see if they can strand that Carthaginian army on Sicily. Turn your cards over and you get a dice depending on how upgraded your navy are. We're all at trireme level at the moment, so it's a green dice. What's important to note and why they're doing this is one more development phase and the Carthaginian navy will go up to quinquiremes, which become yellow dice. So very soon they'll have an advantage. The Romans can't do that in one go. It'll take them 2 more goes to get there. So a smart move for Rome to attack now and take the chance. But we need a fistful of green dice for this. So let's roll the dice. First of all, 5 dice from the Carthaginians. Let's see how bad it gets. 3 misses, blank, blank, blank. Might be good for Rome, this. Oh, 5 misses from the Carthaginian navy. A Roman surprise attack. Coming out the mist early one morning come the Roman galleys. Sink 1 ship already and a half. Sink 2 Carthaginian ships. Ooh. There's a naval victory. The navy has to move back a space or 2 or go into port. It's going to actually move over there. And Rome has taken that area. And we lose 2 Carthaginian ships. So the Carthaginian navy is a bit battered suddenly. And we get a victory point for winning a naval battle. Dun dun dun. Rome's on the board. Now, Rome has done something very interesting actually in the real Punic War. It fought back with a navy. It developed its navy to fight back. Didn't rig that at all. That was just random dice rolling. But they took their chance. It was a 50-50 gamble. Strategically, it's a good gamble because if Rome loses, it withdraws its navy and can still fight for Sicily. If Rome wins, it gets some temporary control of the Mediterranean and stops Carthage from doing anything particularly strong. So let's do the next bit of the campaign season, and let's start with Rome. Well, Rome's army number 2 is down at the bottom here. So we're going to have a look at army number 2. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards and a skirmisher. I'm going to have a look at army number 1. I've got 2 2s there. Army number 1. One of these must be 3. That one's 3. So army number 3 has got a modest size army, so not the biggest. Army number 1 up here is very strong. It's taking some northern territory. And army number 4 over there is also fairly strong. So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to move army number 4 here back to the fighting area. They have roads, 1, 2, 3 roads. Roads are great because roads let you move 3 spaces for 1 movement. So, bat, 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 1. They're in Rome straight away. 2, 3. So they're sitting there solidly reinforcing the bottom of Italy. Okay. Having done that, army number 1 may as well take some more territory. So it's going to hop over the bottom of the Alps here, which is what this brown bit is. That costs an extra movement. So they're going to get 2 to go there. Same system as usual. 2 greens for taking a neutral type territory. Oh, they lost a card. So army number 1 has to lose a card. They can choose. So they'll drop an Italian infantry as casualties, but they've conquered another region. And they don't want to go too far away, so they're going to go back to the coast where they might be useful and do the same. Oh, happened again. They've lost another one. There's lots of terrain in this area, so they're going to keep an Italian infantry and drop a cavalry instead. Choices, choices, choices. So that army's now done, and Rome's now got itself well over the 20 level to get a victory point, so it'll be gaining a victory point from money. We still have 2 armies left. Here we go. It's got to happen, hasn't it? So Roman army, number 3, doesn't really care what's in the Carthaginian army. It's going to give it a go. It invades, works across the straits. The Carthaginian army has 2 choices. It can stand and fight, or it can try and roll a dice to escape. Let's have a look at its army. Its army is a bit of a whopper. It's a good army, sizable army. It doesn't want to escape. We have a battle. So we're going to play this battle out with strat play. So we're army 3 for the Romans. I'm going to ask Matt to take a picky of the 2 armies so I can talk to you what's up against each other. The Roman army is much smaller than the Carthaginian army, so it'll be an interesting attritional attempt. Yes, I'll play it down there. So Rome's outnumbered, but it's been outnumbered before. So the first thing we do when we have a battle is we compare the generals. So if you have a better general, the general would have what's called a reveal. In this case, the generals are equal, so there's no reveal that's going to apply. I'll explain what a reveal would be in the course of actually doing the actual battle itself. I'm going to play it from the Roman side, so I'm going to bring all my cards back here, and all I start off with is them like this next to the general. And we're going to do the same, playing the other side, and all the cards sit next to the general. And a battle is played by playing cards into a fight, at which point they either stay there damaged, they return back to the safe pile, or they go into a dead pile going forwards. And the battle is fought in several phases. So phase 1 is for control of terrain. Any battle that you had in the ancient era, you would have, if you had terrain, somebody had to try and control it. And terrain is determined by how many terrain markers there are in the actual region. And in this area of Syracuse, there is 1 mountain symbol, which means there must be 1 fight fought in terrain. I'm going to have a look at the action cards, see what's there that's useful. Rome has got Inspired General. So Rome's going to play Inspired General to upgrade to 4-star, which means they will get a reveal. And if I look at the guys on the other side, they're going to keep a Determined Troops card handy and possibly throw it into the mix to make the fight particularly intense. So we have to play the first fight. It has to be in terrain. And in terrain, you can either play a skirmisher on their own, or you can play a foot card with a skirmisher. So in this particular one here, we're going to play those cards face down. So they're face down. The Roman has a reveal. What a reveal means is he could opt to actually see those before he places any cards. So he's going to opt for his reveal now. Say, show me those cards. So he shows a Balearic Slinger and a Hispanic Suscara, which is a good card that's stuck in there. As it's terrain, the Romans could just play a skirmisher. So they're going to choose just to play a V-Light to minimise their losses. V-Light's playing the classic job they did in ancient history. Take some terrain, hold it temporarily, wipe out the opposing skirmishers, harass the enemy, buy time for the legionaries to do their job. Skirmishers fight against each other first. They roll the dice for the terrain they're in. Balearic Slingers, not that good in terrain because obviously the terrain will get in the way of the stones. So they only get a black dice. Did nothing. So the V-Light is going to come back safe in a minute as a safe figure. The V-Lights themselves get 2 whites, and they also have a special effect of an S here. On an S, they kill opposing skirmishers because they were the masters of wiping out enemy skirmishers. Oh, they did him anyway. So he's dead. So he goes into the dead pile. So he's put ahead of the game there, and the V-Light comes back to the safe pile for the Romans. That's the fight for the terrain done. He's got nobody to kill. So he simply goes back to a safe pile over there. So the V-lights have neutralized the Hispanic women from playing much of a role in the battle. It's good. The next is the fight for the flanks. In the fight for the flanks, you have to play cavalry until somebody runs out of cavalry. So the Roman declares that they have one cavalry. Put that in the middle. Baliac Slinger is the dead one. So that's the dead in the dead pile there. Do it that way. The guys over here have got more cavalry. They have actually got 3 cavalry. 3 cavalry. Wow. Okay. So they can choose to save some cavalry for an envelopment later and just play, if they wanted, just a skirmisher. But they probably want to kill off some cavalry as well. So they're going to play that. So what they're playing there is, and I'll put it up to the camera, they're playing a peony cavalry with a skirmisher in support. That's pretty dangerous. And the Roman side have just got one of their allied cavalry trying to fight the flank. And again, skirmishers get to roll first. In the open, Numidians, who are very dangerous, get 2 whites. It's possible the Numidians could actually wipe out the allied cavalry before the need for the rest. They've wounded him, and to wound them we put him sideways to show that he's damaged. Damage card in the middle, and the Numidian returns to the safe pile. Now they fight each other using their open territory dice. So we have a yellow dice for the allied cavalry, gets a wound. So they're harmed and they have to stay in the middle. These are better. The peony cavalry are some of the best cavalry in Carthage. Get a yellow and a white. Get a kill. Dead. So that's a dead Roman. This card stays in the middle. It's wounded. It doesn't return to the safe pile. It stays where it is. Now we have the fight for the centre. So now the Romans come into their own with their own high quality stuff. So Rome plays a legionary. Now legionaries are hard as nails in good going. These Republican ones, if I just put him across there, you can see he's got a yellow-white dice in the open, so he's very good at fighting in the open. And he's got an S effect that kills enemy infantry. So he's pretty potent. The opposing side here can either choose to play infantry or can play their saved cavalry. They actually have a choice. And they're going to start off by playing some infantry. So they're going to play a veteran Libyan spearman. Probably shouldn't be veteran yet, but we'll let him off because they've had no upgrade yet in this game. That's an accident in the pack, but it makes little difference. So I need a green and a white. They fight simultaneously. There's no skirmishers chucked with them. Nobody's got any left. Green and a white for the veterans. Did an S. S special effect. They had long spears, so the special effect they have at the bottom of this card is an S cancelling out damage from cavalry. They can keep cavalry at bay, but no special effect against the infantry. So they've done no damage on the Romans. Romans, meanwhile, a yellow and a white, an X and an S. Well, X would wound, creates a wound, and S is a kill against infantry. So actually, the wound kills the damaged one in the middle, it's dead, and the S kills the Libyan spearman. Okay. Off go the Roman legionaries, and the Roman legionaries return to the safe pile. Now the Roman legions are starting to do some chopping. So, we now have another move in the open, and they'll save those for an envelopment. They'll play a veteran citizen spearman, and they're going to play their booster card, determined troops. So they're going to play some rock-hard spearmen with a boost to try and kill off the Roman legionary. And they'll be playing a legionary. This gives them an extra green card, so they're yellow and 2 greens. So it's a good chance these legionaries are goners. Oh, double skulls. Yes, they're totally massacred. So they go in the dead pile. But it's still a yellow-white back from the Romans, who get an X, so they wound that one. You can see the pace picks up as you gradually know what you're doing. And we're now back to the last fight. The Romans have got another legionary to play. And because they fancy their chances with their cavalry, they're not going to play anything else. They're going to refuse to put anything else into the mix. So they're going to save them. So the legionary Republican get to roll, finish off the rest of the spearmen. They go on the dead pile. And they return to the safe pile. That's 3 out of 4 phases done. But unfortunately now, The Carthaginians in classic Carthaginian form have an envelopment with these two cards. So they can go in with Hispanic cavalry and citizens cavalry against anything that's left, that's safe. And because it's an envelopment, they can re-roll their dice if they want to. So the odds are they can do some serious damage. Green and white against the Republican legionary. Did a wound. They'll opt to re-roll. Did nothing. It was a bad decision to re-roll. The other one. Did a wound. Well, you may as well re-roll because a wound is no use. 2 wounds. Kills one of them. Bang. And returns to safety. The battle is now over. And we review the results. Unfortunately for the Romans, they have dropped down to having only a single. That envelopment did for them. They've only got a single main battle card left. So the army disintegrates and is a total loss. It's destroyed. Which gives Carthage 2 victory points for a complete, what's called a total victory. So the entire Roman army that tried that has died in the attempt. Carthage, however, has lost quite a bit. They've lost 4 cards here. So I'll just put up their losses. But winning gives them a benefit. First thing that a total victory does is it lets you take 2 cards back. So they're going to take 2 cards back, like that. Recovering them because they control the battlefield, so they've picked up the wounded. They can try and improve their general, who is a competent general, and therefore gets a green dice to see if he upgrades. He gets a skull. Oh, no, that's amazing. That's a double upgrade. So you can go into the Carthage pack for a minute, and guess who's going to make an appearance? I'm sure you can remember his name. He's very famous from history. Let's see if we can pick him out of this pack. Hannibal Barca. Hannibal Barca, so the greatest general in the history of Carthage, has appeared. So now this is a really potent army because it's very, very well led. And they get to upgrade 2 cards as well, so now their 2 spearmen that were upgraded are perfectly valid. So that army returns here. This army is removed. But we still haven't finished. So I'm going to go back over here. So we have a very interesting situation now in this campaign. We've just fought a very big battle. We've had a major victory for Carthage. The Roman army wiped out that tried to get into Sicily. And a general emerged who's a genius who managed to envelop them. It's actually a bit like Cannae. I mean, the envelopment is what took out the opposing army with the extra cavalry. So quite an interesting narrative to that. And the Roman navy has won a historic victory driving the navy away. So now Rome has got a very interesting situation because there's one army left to move. What does it do? Does it take the risk and have a go? Or does it back off and just block? Well, I think for the sake of showing you what can happen, I think it'll have another go. Because it went for an attritional attack. So it's going to move with the army that's remaining. 1, 2, and invade again. Hannibal's going to fight. He's bound to fight. So let's see what happens for the very end of this turn, and we'll fight another battle. So you've now got 2 example battles to go at. Let me do this one for you. The Roman tactic of attrition that we just tried didn't quite work. What they'd hoped to do is wipe out enough of the enemy cards, lose the battle, but stay alive, so that they didn't get to get lots of cards back. It didn't quite work. And the appearance of Hannibal makes it tricky. On average, the Romans probably would be attacking this now with a couple of cards missing, and it would be a lot easier. But they're going to have to give it a go while they've got Hannibal trapped in Sicily. The Roman army is pretty good, though. It's got 2 legionary, 2 Italian infantry. It's got an allied cavalry. It's got a veli. It's not a bad army. So perhaps they can pull it off. Back to the same thing. Put your troops with your general and put your people next to it. There's the 5-star Hannibal. Now, Hannibal has got a special skill called Battlefield Expert. Battlefield Expert allows him to take the terrain up or down 1 level, so he prepares the battlefield well. So we're just going to look through and see if we prefer open terrain or we prefer or very terrain. He's pretty happy in the open because he's got a cavalry advantage. So he's going to actually get rid of the terrain. He's going to make it a zero terrain battle with his special skill and find an open plain to find the Romans on somewhere near the coast. Smart move. He's 5-star, competent Roman generals 3-star. So Hannibal's going to get 2 reveals. He can play them at any point in time, and we do the same sequence. Fight for the terrain. There's only 1 terrain marker in here, 1 mountain marker. Hannibal's reduced it down by 1. There is no fight for the terrain. So he's neutralized the Velites by doing that. Fight for the flanks. The Romans declare that they have 1 cavalry and play 1 cavalry. Does he want to use his reveal to see what he does? No, because he knows what those are going to be, because there's only 1 type of cavalry really in the Roman army, and he's quite happy to try and wipe them out with the cavalry he's got. So, he's going to play a Numidian cavalry, supporting a Peony cavalry, and determinedly try and wipe out those Roman cavalry. Skirmishes go first, so harassment first, a wound. So like last time, the Numidians have done some good work and have harassed the Roman cavalry and caused them damage. Roman allied cavalry to try and knock out the Peony cavalry. An S. They do have an S special effect on there, but the S special effect is all about riding down loose order infantry and opposing mounted skirmishes. There's no S effect against enemy cavalry. So, doesn't do anything. Peony cavalry, meanwhile, back, did an X, similar S, but the X is enough to kill it. Goes in the dead pile. 1-0 to Carthage. Fight for the flank is over because the Romans have run out of troops. So it's fight for the centre now. And the Romans are going to have to go for broke. So they're going to put a Roman legionary in. He wouldn't know what he was up against there. And he would probably now use his reveal because he would guess there could be Roman infantry or there could be allied infantry. So he'll do a reveal, discover it's a Roman legionary, and therefore put the thing he's got that's most likely to be able to cope with the Roman legionary, which is the veteran citizen spearman. Yellow and the green for Carthage, an X and an S effect. The S effect on this card again is cancellation of damage from cavalry from their long spears. So, wounded him. Roman legionary back. Kill. Okay, did the best. Next one up, Romans are going to play that one. Hannibal's going to use his second reveal to have a look at what's going in the middle. And what's going in the middle is a V-light with an Italian infantry. So because he hasn't got all legionaries, he's chucking a V-light in front to protect them. So he will put a veteran Scutari against it. Or a normal Scutari, sorry. V-lights go first. A single white in the open, they're not as good as in terrain, does nothing. The V-light comes back to the safe pile. Then we go for the next bit. It's the Italian infantry get 2 white, so they're not as potent. Does a wound. And the Scutari get a yellow. Do a kill. Directly kill the Italian infantry. Goes on the dead pile. Got all wounded in the middle now. Third bit. It's a Roman legionary against a veteran spearman. Roman legionary. A kill and an S. Well, the S destroys infantry because they're very good at that. So that kills that one, and the skull kills off the wounded one. So those legionaries cause complete mayhem. I do get to roll their dice back though, so it's a green and a white back for the veterans who get a wound which will kill that one because it's wounded, but that one goes back in the safe pile. Oh, exciting. Okay. There's now nothing left in the centre. The Romans end up playing this in the centre, but there's nothing for them to fight. It's disappeared. Hannibal's going to switch to the envelopment phase and use his final cavalry in the envelopment phase with a green and a white against these guys because they're the easiest for them to kill. So he could go, this is important, he could go for either of these, but these are close order troops. That's what the shield means. And the close order troops aren't vulnerable to cavalry. These are loose order troops and they are vulnerable to cavalry, and the S effect on these cavalry would ride them down. So unfortunately, the envelopment is going to ride into the sides of something that's quite vulnerable to cavalry in open terrain, because Hannibal got rid of the terrain where they would have liked to fight. Oh, did nothing. But it's an envelopment, a reroll. Ah, the famous S. S, ride down loose order infantry. Loose order infantry, ridden down by the cavalry. Disaster for Rome. Another army reduced down to a single main battle card. Hannibal has gained another total victory. And Sicily has been a disaster for Rome that they're going to have to fight back from. 3 casualty cards. Well, he can have 2 of those back. He can't be upgraded any further. And he can upgrade another card because of a total victory. So this is going to be a whopping army. I'd have to find a veteran Numidian cavalry or a veteran Hispanic cavalry to add to it. Bang. Hannibal owns Sicily. Romans have suffered terribly. And they're going to have to do some rapid work in the spending phase to cope with the fact that Carthage has just made quite a big mess of them. This is a bit of an unusual situation, so I've just been reminded to mention one thing. So in both cases, an army was wiped out, which is not that easy to do. That was 2 good strikes by Hannibal. If you don't, then you take the number of cards that were casualties. So if we did it before the break, let's say it was that. And whoever's done the most damage in main battle cards, so let's say the Carthaginians had done 3, had lost 3, and Rome had lost 1, and a skirmisher had lost 2, then Rome would win the battle, and it would be a minor victory. They would get 1 back, and the Carthaginians would have been forced back into the other part of Sicily. So it's much less dramatic, and the Roman army, of course, would still exist. The general would still exist, and they could be reinforced in the spending phase. The problem that Rome now has is it's only actually got 2 armies. It's only got 2 generals in the field, and if it's not careful, the southern bit of Italy is wide open to an invasion by Hannibal coming up from Sicily rather than taking the long walk through Spain. So, I'm back on my main seat. Let's do a summary of what's happened with the campaign season, because it has been bloody and chaotic, and the narrative. This game always writes an interesting narrative. I mean, this one is a pretty dramatic one. So, Roman Navy has control of the seas right now. It's got 5 Navy cars to 3, so it's dominating the Mediterranean for the time being. Rome tried to do an attritional win in Sicily with 2 separate armies attacking, hoping the first one, while it would lose, would be able to retire and knock cards off the other to make it vulnerable for the second army. Alas, it didn't work. 2 envelopments, actually, 2 cavalry envelopments by the Carthaginians, especially the second one on the plains, caused both armies to be a total write-off, which has left Carthage running off with some victory points and Rome in some trouble in this game.